The revolution is televised.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the DSN Off the Ropes episode 3. Let's talk some AEW Revolution. Hello, everyone. I'm Bret Swinney, alongside of Brandon Ogden and KO Kyle Owens. How's it going, fellas?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk some wrestling, man. That's I'm such a great pay-per-view last night. I'll tell you this: the first AEW pay-per-view I ever watched was last year's Revolution. And it was, in my opinion, the best pay-per-view of the year in all companies. I think last year's Revolution was the best. And last night did not disappoint either. A great show.
Same here. Doing good. It's hard not to bob my head to Ricky's music there. You forget how good Ricky Stark's music is until you hear it on loop. So, but no, it was a good show. It was one where I didn't have a hype. It's like, oh, I want to watch it, and I was like, oh, AEW always puts on good shows, but it's like, it's like seeing a lot of these people face each other. Didn't go in with a lot of high expectations, and it exceeded them. So it was one where I couldn't be disappointed, but I was very pleased with how it turned out. And my favorite match of the night was probably one I was least excited to watch going in. So,
well, and I think that AEW does that a lot of times. Like, it's like they can't do better. Like, it seems like every time they have put on a pay-per-view, we talk about this before, they're always a little longer. They used to, WWE they've kind of gone away from the long pay-per-views. They've kind of shortened theirs up a little bit. I think Triple H has a lot to do with that. But AEW still, even with as long as it was, and with that long last match, I was entertained the whole time. It wasn't a spot where I was like, really, where I could have just went and took a break. I mean, it was pretty up to. Now, there was a couple of matches that they weren't as good, but still solid overall matches. I guess we'll start with the 0 hour. Did y'all catch the 0 hour match?
I caught a little bit of it. I was trying to watch it through it, and I was like, oh wait, I can just watch it on YouTube. So it was buffing a little bit. But.
Well, the highlight for me, and I didn't get to see this match, but just I wanted to see Mark Briscoe, an AEW pay-per-view. I think, it's sad the way that he finally made it on AEW TV. Sad that it took his brother passing away for that to happen. But I'm glad they finally got it right and let these guys, like he's going to carry on the legacy for his brother now. And he's going to get to be on TV. Hopefully they'll do something with him a little more. But Kyle, you got to see this match. You nod your head. What'd you think about it?
I thought it was a really good match. It was a very good, and I like how that was the only 0 hour match. It's not like they loaded it up with 3 or 4 matches. It was the only one, so it had its time to breathe. Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers. I love the Lucha Brothers. Cero Miedo. I love it. I love the Lucha Brothers. I think they're fantastic. Even the varsity athletes looked good yesterday. Josh Woods and those guys, they even looked really good. I haven't seen a lot of them. They looked really good in the ring yesterday. Just a great opening match to, I guess, the pre-show. It was a great match, though. It kind of, you could tell it kind of set the tone for the night. The crowd was into it. The action was fast and furious. I think it was a great 0 hour match for them. And again, love Mark Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers. I think they need to stay a trio and maybe go for the trios titles. But then what do you do with Pac? So I don't, maybe not. I don't know, because Pac's part of the Death Triangle. So I don't know what you do with those. But it was a great opening match, I thought.
Yeah, you got to find some place, and I don't know where it is, where you plug Mark Briscoe in. He's too good of a, I wouldn't say just label him as a tag wrestler, but he is. He's used to being in that tag scene. So a trio spot, I like that idea. I don't know if it's with them or maybe it's somebody he finds a spot.
What do you do with the ROH tag titles that were held by the Briscoes? What do you do with those now? I mean, because that now ROH has their own show on Thursdays on their app. So I would assume Mark Briscoe is going to be featured on that. But what do you do with the tag titles?
Did they announce that?
Mm-hmm. They had their first show Thursday, I think.
I missed that.
Thursday.
So it's just
on the app. TBS. I think they are going to show like once a month on TBS, but the one the other night was not on TBS.
Yeah. Oh. But that's my question. I agree. We need to get Mark Briscoe on TV, but you got to also rest in peace to Jay. But you got to figure out what you do with those tag titles. You can't just leave them in limbo.
Does he just? He could just defend them by himself, and he could just be this 1-on-2 guy. And he just beats all his tag teams.
I mean, that would be good. That redneck kung fu that he got. I mean, he could do it.
He could tell a story there. How he's fighting for his brother, and he's inspired, and he's so inspired that he can't be beaten 1-on-2. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what they do with that, but I agree. More Mark Briscoe on my television, and I would be A-okay with that. But yeah, it was a great match. More Lucha Brothers too. I don't know what's going on with the Lucha Brothers. They need to be in the tag team division. More Lucha Bros.
Give me a ladders match with them and anybody.
Yes.
Throw the Young Bucks. I could watch them and the Young Bucks do jump off ladders and any kind of objects all day long.
Yes. Well, we got to see them for 7 straight weeks with the Young Bucks. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that's what they know. People love to see them go at it so much that they're going to tune in every single time.
Mm-hmm.
They did all those different matches, and it was, something different all the time.
Yeah.
So.
It was a great kickoff, though.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. And we'll move over to the actual pay-per-view itself here. And I'm not saying that I don't like to see Chris Jericho. I think he's a great heel. He still has great heat. I like he put Ricky Starks over in this one. I had a feeling that was the way it was going to go. Especially you ban JAS from ringside. That's only the way Chris Jericho wins these days.
Banned from ringside.
Yeah, they banned him, and then they ended up showing up. Yeah, and I know that was kind of interesting. That's kind of why I went with the music. The Revolution. This is the Revolution pay-per-view. This is his pay-per-view, and he led off with a good, solid win from Ricky Starks. I like him, but I feel like he needs to go after a title at some point. It's his time to go after. I don't know if it's the TNT title, maybe first, or maybe an ROH belt, something.
Before last night, he was the last one to face MJF for the title.
That's true.
I was actually there that night, and he, great match. I mean, you knew he wasn't gonna win, but it was a great match, and it kind of put him in that spotlight for a little bit. So,
well, that's the problem though. Now that you're running into MJF is not losing that title this year. He's not losing it this year. But then, and I know we'll talk about this later, but now you just took the TNT title off Joe. You can't really take it off Wardlow now because then you kill Wardlow's momentum, which brings me to Wardlow and Hobbs next week. Makes zero sense because who takes the fall there? If you give Wardlow the loss, then he's held the belt for 3 days.
Samoa Joe intervenes and interrupts and makes a DQ.
And then probably a triple threat after that. But it's tough because there's titles, but they're held by baby faces already. Like Wardlow's a baby face. Orange Cassidy is a baby face. So there's nowhere for Ricky Starks to go. That's kind of the issue with MJF holding the world championship in the reign that he's on.
Well,
I don't know what Ricky does.
I know you talked about it, Kyle. You said you're done with this match. So you're done with him and JAS and the whole.
Yeah, this should be the blow-off match. Moving on.
So where do you see them going then? You have any idea?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I mean,
he doesn't have a group anymore. He's not affiliated with anybody to get any kind of tag or trios run or anything like that. He's kind of on his own now. So
I don't know. I don't know what you do with Ricky Starks. That's the problem. But you need to have him on television because he's great at what he does. He's great on the mic. He's great in ring. You need to have him on TV. I just don't know what you do with him.
His mannerisms remind me, and this is a high brag, but it reminds me of The Rock almost.
Mm-hmm.
He's got those facial expressions, and he's good on the mic, and you've got to find a good spot for him.
That's why MJF called him the Pebble.
That's funny. Brandon, what do you think? You got any thought? Anything?
The only thing, you're talking about with Orange Cassidy, with Orange Cassidy's he's already developed a thing where, hey, he'll defend against anybody anytime. Doesn't matter if it's his friend. So with him and Ricky Starks, you could have at least a title match because you don't have to do a long story with them. And you could have a banger of a match with them too. And so, you could do that. But but other than that, the next story for Ricky's kind of hard to, because it's where do they go? You could, they've done a lot with him lately. You don't want to take a back seat right now because, like you said, he's so fun to watch and you can do so much with him. So,
well, what about this? So, JAS was banned from ringside. I'm putting quotations around that because here comes Sammy Guevara running out. Which, if you're gonna ban somebody from ringside and they still come out, there's got to be some type of repercussion for that. You know what I mean? But anyway.
He's gonna be fined or something later.
He needs to be because that's all. It doesn't make sense. So if that's the case, then I can ban everybody from ringside. But oh no, I'm just gonna run out here anyway. That just doesn't make sense. But Action Andretti speared Guevara, so maybe Action Andretti and Ricky Starks team up and maybe enter the tag team division. My only problem with that is if they team up,
they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight. Yep. So you're gonna stay in there with the same feud. Yeah.
I feel like Jericho's done his job and put Ricky Starks over twice because Ricky's done beat him twice now. So Jericho and Ricky Starks, they should be done for now. And Ricky needs to move on. I just don't know what he moves on to. The only thing I could think is teaming him up with Action Andretti, but I don't. But then we run into the issue. They may be going right back to the same rabbit hole we already just came out of.
Do you know that the one thing they haven't really done, and I've been waiting for this to happen, is when is Mr. I want to call him Jack Swagger, but he's not Jack Swagger anymore. When is that gonna be?
Jake Hager.
Jake Hager. Yeah. Eventually he turns on Jericho and they have a feud, right? I mean, do something with him. He's one of the most wasted talents on the roster, honestly. They haven't yet to do anything with him since he was there, besides being Jericho's lackey. That could be a good match for Jericho. He finally is fed up with being second fiddle to Jericho, and he turns on. He's got enough people in JAS. He doesn't need him too. So I just wonder how long it takes them to do that if they ever get to that.
But he likes his hat. I like this hat. That's all he says in the promo. I like this hat.
He's an incredible in the ring too, but they don't use him because he's an actual wrestler. MMA guy.
Yeah.
I don't understand that really, why they haven't done anything more with Hager.
I think that's a problem that AEW has too, is their roster is bloated. They have too many stars and not enough TV time. So you get 3 hours of television a week with Dynamite and Rampage. I mean, there's Dark and Dark Elevation too, but 3 hours of television a week, that's a Monday Night Raw for WWE. There's just so much talent on that roster.
And they've done a good job of creating stars too. Mm-hmm. Something that WWE doesn't do very well.
Right.
And so then they create all those stars, but their main problem is getting them on TV. As in WWE, honestly, you've got the Bloodline, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and the rest of it, I could almost care less about most of the time.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. WWE does not do a good job of. They got more television time,
but they don't have anything to fill it with.
No, I think if AEW needs to make Rampage live. It needs to stop being taped. Rampage needs to be live, and I think you move Rampage to 2 hours, just like Dynamite. Make it the SmackDown to Dynamite.
Do you move it to match up against it and have a Friday Night War?
I don't think that's going to go well for AEW.
Well, it's just
Truthfully,
is it because they're not on a network TV versus? Do you think that matters?
I just think it's the SmackDown is such a known commodity, and Rampage has been garbage with it being taped. I don't think, for me personally, if it's on at the same time, if I had to choose SmackDown or Rampage, I'm watching SmackDown 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
I would like to see them move it to Thursday, get it off of Friday, because there's, other than Impact or New Japan Pro Wrestling,
Now
there's no
you've got
wrestling on Thursday.
You got ROH now. You're putting on Thursday.
Yeah, but that's taped from Orlando. So, I mean,
Or are they going to try to compete against basically their own
Yeah.
programming?
I don't know. That's, you know what? Next time we do this stream here, we need to get Tony Khan on here so we can ask the hard hitting questions.
Yeah, and I keep waiting, and I wish they would do it. Somebody needs to go head up against Raw, because SmackDown, I think, is a lot better programming right now than Raw.
I think ain't nobody touching Raw. It could be trash, and there's still 1.8 million viewers. Like, it's not going anywhere.
Who is watching that? Because if you put, I mean, I get it, I watch it too, but if you put a quality AEW show up against what Raw usually puts out, I'm gonna watch AEW, and then I go back and watch Raw, maybe not live.
But yeah, at least now you can record them. It's not like when we grew up, when we actually had to choose between Nitro and Raw.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that WWE's it gives them a pass, because no one will try to compete with them. I know, WCW tried to do it back in the day, but I honestly think that AEW does such a great job of creating talent and building storylines up that they could compete at some level with them.
Well, I agree to an extent, but the other thing is AEW is supposed to be the alternative to WWE. So I don't think it's wise for AEW to try and go head up with WWE. I think that's a bad idea. But like they're doing it now on Wednesday, where, okay, I can watch Monday Night Raw on Monday, and then I can watch Dynamite on Wednesday. I think you're getting the best of both worlds. They're not infringing on anybody. Dynamite's what made NXT move from Wednesday to Tuesday, is because of Dynamite, because Dynamite was doing better than NXT. So they had to move. And so Wednesday's wide open. I think you keep it where it's at. I don't think it's a good idea. We saw what happened with WCW. It's not a good idea to go head up with WWE on a Monday night. It worked for a little bit.
I know it's not great. I want someone to force WWE to start writing some good storylines.
Yeah, because outside of the Bloodline and Judgment Day,
it's skippable.
Yeah,
like I can go through and I can miss a couple weeks. Like I've missed a few Raw and SmackDowns here and there. I can go back and watch them in 10 minutes. I just there's a match up. I don't care about them. Skip. No, that's not interesting. Skip. I mean, I can go and I watch the storyline, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens entanglement, and I'm done. I don't need to watch anything else. But at some point, that's going to be played out. Then what do you have?
Right. Because you don't build new stars. So you're going to retread the same people. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it would be a good idea to go up against them. I get what you're saying, though. But AEW is the alternative. So just having it on a different night, I don't have a problem with it.
And before we move on, I did think about a couple options for Ricky Starks.
Okay.
Adam Cole, he's returning to the ring in a couple weeks. And Jay Lethal and Ricky Starks would be interesting.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, Lethal could put him over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I like the Adam Cole, because Adam Cole's coming back in a few weeks. And
they're going to give Adam Cole a big push.
Yeah. Well, and that's the issue you run into then. So in an Adam Cole and Ricky Starks feud, who wins? Yeah. Who goes over?
Because I think they've turned Cole into more of a babyface. It seems like at this point.
But yeah, and I would like that to eventually set up him and MJF.
Yeah.
But I like the Ricky Starks Jay Lethal because Jay Lethal still has those guys. He's got Sanjay and Satnam and
Action Andretti can still be in Stark's corner.
Yeah.
So Action Andretti could be in Ricky's corner, which would then kind of offset. And then if you want to do a tag match which I don't want to see Jeff Jarrett wrestling anymore. But if you want to do Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus Action Andretti and Ricky Starks, at least it's getting Starks on TV. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting a feud over with, the next one kind of buried a feud, if you know what I mean. As Jack Perry defeats Christian Cage in a last burial match, otherwise known as a casket match, I think, and they had to take a new take on it there. I really enjoyed this match, guys. This one's been building for a while. I think actually there were some injuries that kind of extended this feud out to where it is right now, but I kept waiting for Luchasaurus to come out there and do something. Never saw him, so I think that may still be something that maybe Jack Perry has to overcome at some point, because I don't think he's done with that. But I think the Christian Cage thing is buried here.
This was an excellent match. I enjoyed this from start to finish. From Jungle Boy coming out there in his old school like street fight, just jeans and ready to go, from Christian wearing a turtleneck with its sleeves cut off, a tank top turtleneck is what he was wearing. Christian's fantastic. He is the ultimate villain. He plays the villain role to perfection. Getting FU Christian chants and he's just smiling. He's just loving it. I thought the match was absolutely great. It was brutal. You could feel the animosity between the two. It jumped off the screen, and I was so excited. I think I popped just as loud as the audience did when Jungle Boy finally hit Christian with a concerto. It's like, yes, finally. Now he was torn about it, but he finally did it, and man, he smacked the heck out of him with that chair.
The chair bent really good.
Yes. Now, quick side note: do we know the secret to the concerto? How do they not smash their heads? Are they hitting the other side of the chair?
Yeah, I think they're like hitting the other end of the chair so that it hits in. Yeah,
it looked brutal, but
you could really easily hurt somebody. Yeah.
Yes, but it looked brutal, but it was. I mean, that's everything that match needed to be. I think this is the perfect.
And I like the way that he, paid his last respects there at the end before he shut the
gave him a little kiss.
That was
and the pyro with the casket dropping was neat.
He had to basically bury his mentor, basically.
Yeah,
that's what ended up happening. So, Brandon, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't get to see a whole lot of this match. I saw, it was going in and out. Well, AEW's is like 3 dots. Right there. And
Brandon, I need to hook you up. I need you to hook you up with my my pay-per-view provider.
Yeah, but after this match, starting the next match, I saw the whole rest of everything without much interruption. So it was just this match kept going in and out a little bit, and I saw the finish though. And I mean, I'm yes, Christian's the villain or whatever, but I'm always going to root for Christian. It's like Jack Perry's cool, but I'd like to see Christian win. So it's like I've always been on the Christian side of the storyline, but Jungle Boy, he is what he is.
And you mentioned Luchasaurus. I think, unfortunately, I don't think we're completely done with this feud just yet. And the only reason I say that is because Luchasaurus, I think, will come back and then eventually turn on Christian. And I think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus get back together for Jurassic Express, and I think they become a tag team again. When that happens, I don't know. But I think going forward, because same question we asked about Ricky Starks. What do you do with Jungle Boy now?
Jungle Boy. Yeah.
I mean, what do you do with him? There's nowhere for him to go.
He's been like with this whole Christian Luchasaurus feud for so long. It's like you don't know what to do with him.
Yeah. And he's another one. He is, how Reggie Jackson's Mr. October. I think Jungle Boy is Mr. AEW pay-per-view because he just puts on bangers on these pay-per-views. Like, he is fantastic. I'm a huge Jungle Boy fan, but I don't know what you do with him. I don't know. The only thing I can think is Luchasaurus comes back and you put him in the tag division. And I know I said the same thing with Ricky Starks, so let's just load up the tag division, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I have a lot more faith in AEW coming up with something than I would if this was a WWE.
100% in WWE's realm now. if Triple H was still completely in charge, then I would have faith in Triple H. But since he's kind of since we got the old man coming back, I don't trust WWE.
I don't even,
at
not
all.
even. I mean, Triple H has done some good stuff, but not even now. I think I still trust AEW more than even if Triple H is solely in charge, because honestly, the bloodline thing kind of fell into their lap. To be honest, um, I don't know how much that was like. That could have been several years back because when Roman Reigns was getting booed, I'm like, just put him with the Usos and form a heel group. Like I was saying that 2 or 3 years before this happened, and I just think it's a natural thing. It just kind of fell into place and fell in their lap. Now they've done a good job of continuing it, but to me, like at some point, Roman's going to lose the titles, probably at Mania. Usos are going to lose the titles, probably to Owens, and then once that's done, can they do something to continue it or keep something going that's going to be interesting? Because I don't have much confidence.
Did you hear who's about to possibly get involved? It sounds like they're going to do something, but they're going to kind of create some buzz between Rikishi and Paul Heyman.
Oh gosh,
and kind of like who's the wise, and then get Rikishi to come to.
Hey, as long as he comes out and does
it,
as long as he comes out and does his dance.
Yeah. As long as he does a stink face to Heyman.
I don't know. I'm with you. I think they will book. They're able to book Jungle Boy. I have more faith in the AEW booking Jungle Boy than WWE right now. But I mean, we've looked at the landscape. I don't know what you do with Jungle Boy. I don't know where he goes from here. I'll tell you this much. He probably deserves a little time off. That's a little physical match that he had. I would give him maybe a week or two off, come back and try and start something new with somebody. But it was an excellent match. It was everything it needed to be to blow off a feud. That's why I hope it's over with, because it's the perfect blow off match. He kissed Christian goodbye. Christian goes into the ground. Christian should be gone for a couple of weeks too. I just don't know what you do with him.
Christian's gone. I think he needs to be gone for a little bit more than that, even month or two. They need to sell that. Like he's buried and gone.
Yeah.
He got hit with a chair in the face.
Yeah. No,
he's going to do a crossover. It's going to be Christian and Edge against Damian Priest and Finn.
He got buried. He goes through the ground. He goes up. He comes out of a casket in WWE.
Yeah. The burial was the WWE portal that he went into.
Yeah. The transfer portal. It went through the casket. Since you can just transfer now, I mean, just do that in the transfer portal. Hit the portal.
Yeah. I also loved Christian, and again, just how good Christian is getting involved with Jungle Boy's sister and his mom again. He is. I'm with you, Brandon. It's hard to cheer against Christian. I know he's a jerk on screen, but he is so good at what he does. I have nothing bad to say about Christian. I think he's fantastic.
Well, see, the thing with Jungle Boy is like you said, matches wise, especially pay-per-views, he puts on heck of matches.
Mm-hmm.
But with him, it doesn't what they do with him next. It really you just need to put him with a good wrestler, because like this story worked because of the personal parts to it. But like Jungle Boy, with most people, is not going to be such a great storyteller.
Right.
He's not. That's not. His wrestling matches are incredible.
And he's not a great promo either. He's not great on the microphone. Yeah.
So like for the story, it worked. The story worked because of Christian.
Yes.
But wrestling match wise, that usually they put him with another good, wrestler, and then they'll put on bangers and matches. Have Nick Jackson get hurt and just have him and Matt Jackson fight or something.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Jacksons, guys,
hey, good job, Brandon.
Good job, Brandon. That's our next match is House of Black, the new trios champions. They were knocked off the Elite in a outstanding match. I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over, but man, have I missed getting to see the Elite. I haven't watched a lot of AEW here recently, so I missed a lot of those the 7 versus best of 7 matches. There was something we did. What was it? Oh, wait. It was the wrap-up show a lot of Wednesdays missed for me over the last little bit. I try to catch up, but I missed seeing the Jacksons on TV, also Kenny Omega, and they just deliver. And but good. This is good for the House of Black. These guys needed something. The Jacksons, Kenny Omega, they don't need the titles, honestly. They can have feuds without them, but I think this is a need that House of Black needed these titles. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. But man, this was a great match.
Other than the main event, this was the match of the night, in my opinion. This was an absolute banger of a match. I mean, all 6 of these guys are first class in professional wrestling. They are. I love Buddy Matthews, Malachi, Brody King looks like a freaking savage out there. And then of course the Elite, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are top notch. So you weren't going to have a bad match, but this was an absolute banger. Here's my issue I have, and this seems to be kind of the issue with AEW too. You took us on 8 weeks because they took a week off. You took us on 8 weeks of a best of 7 series, which the outcome was kind of, they were finishing in LA where the Young Bucks are from. Like, you knew the Young Bucks were going to win it in the Elite. So you took us on an 8-week journey with fantastic trios matches with the Death Triangle. They won those titles, 2-3 weeks ago? Maybe a month ago? And now all of a sudden their not first, but they defended at the pay-per-view to the House of Black and they lose them already. So all that 8 weeks of television, in my mind, just goes down the drain, because what's the point now? You didn't even give them a title reign. Now, I love the House of Black having the titles. I think they deserve it. I think they're fantastic. My issue, though, why did we have 8 weeks of matches or 7 matches when you're just going to give it to the House of Black at the next pay-per-view? That's my only issue I have with
it. They needed some matches, and I wonder, and this is something we have to talk about. Did we know that the whole backstage brawl with CM Punk, that probably had a lot to do with the way this was weird? They could have possibly had set up this to happen at this pay-per-view. Maybe they were going to have the titles that whole time, and to set things back right, maybe this is what happened. They didn't get as long of a run. I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, that's my only issue with it. But I feel like AEW does that a lot. We'll talk about the TNT Championship coming up. They're putting themselves in the same situation. But I mean, as far as the match goes, it was fantastic, and I'm happy for the House of Black. I hope they have a substantial run, even through the next pay-per-view. I would say, a 4, 5, 6 month reign for House of Black would be good.
Who's next for them? Who we think? Anybody? Y'all have any suggestions on?
I mean, you could. They just did it, but Death Triangle versus House of Black with Lucha Brothers and Pac versus House of Black
be an epic match.
Mark Briscoe and the Lucha. I mean, there are.
What about the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass? That would be entertaining.
I don't want to see Daddy Ass in the ring anymore either.
He's still entertaining. You got it.
He is entertaining.
I mean, the Acclaimed were here, and he's put them like on that top tier level just from him being involved with them.
Yeah, I don't know who would be next for House of Black.
Blackpool Combat Club.
Are they still together though?
Well, I think they are, but like I was kind of hoping we'll get this later, but I was kind of hoping maybe one would kind of turn last night, during that last match. But we'll get to that later. But I mean, it's hard to tell if they are. I think they technically still are, but it's always
Wheeler Yuta. His gear always has the Blackpool Combat Club stuff on.
Well, I know Wheeler and Claudio are for sure in. Moxley is sometimes with them.
So I would do Wheeler, Claudio, and Danielson now. Since Danielson lost this match.
Well, Danielson hadn't been involved with the Blackpool Combat Club in a couple months.
Yeah, well, since Regal left, so it's hard to tell. So yeah. But
I would like that.
If so, you could do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I would Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler versus the House of Black. Take my money. That's going to be a banger.
Yeah,
I think I just want to see. I don't know who House of Black will go against, but you have plenty of trios. There's a lot of factions in AEW, so there's plenty of options for House of Black. It's not like they're struggling for competition, like we were talking about with Ricky Starks and Jungle Boy, House of Black has a lot of competitors that they could go against. Just who makes the most sense. And you got to don't give me a trios championship match in 3 weeks on Dynamite. Let's build this story up so that for the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and you talked about that. That's one of the things that they do a lot. It's like, let's have a title match, every week. It's like, are you really gonna? It's one of those you can't sell it. Are you really gonna just return the title back over? Of course, I guess you can, but then you don't have then the champion doesn't get any run. So
and there was really no build for this match. I mean, they built this match maybe 2 weeks before the pay-per-view. Like there was no story behind it. It was just kind of like, here, these 6 guys are great. Let's have them wrestle.
I still wonder what their plan was originally before they got suspended for that whole time. Because I mean that you have to because I think I've heard several times from different outlets that AEW they have their stuff like 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
So like they've got their stuff planned out. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, some other people should take notes on that. But anyway, so they've got it in advance. Well, then this happens, it's not planned. So now you've got to, just because you got one story different, that affects a lot of other things. So I just wonder if that was why this was a little weird. Because I mean, they don't do it a whole lot. Every once in a while, they'll do something weird where the title flips, just like you talked about. That one was a little strange. I'm not sure why Samoa Joe ever won it. He was his own title. I don't know why that was needed to have 2. There's so many belts. Unless you're going to do some belt collector thing where he just starts collecting all these belts, and that's
another thing. There's too many titles on AEW.
Well, especially when you have the ROH ones mixed in.
Yeah,
you got the ROH. Then they bring in was it
the non-sanctioned FTW title?
Yeah.
Is that one? Do they still? Is that one still? Does Hook still have
Hook,
that one?
Yeah, and Hook just defended it. I want to say it was either last week or week before last on Dynamite. He just defended it. So, but it's not a real title. But they had a graphic for it and everything.
I don't mind the titles as long as you have room to fit them all in. And that's what their problem is. We just talked about earlier. The airtime on TV. You've got how many titles versus the 3 hours of programming a week that's on TV?
Well, just look at the pay-per-view we just had. Where was the TBS championship? Jade Cargill wasn't on the show, which I'm okay with that, but she wasn't on the show defending that title. The All-Atlantic Championship was on the show, but it wasn't defended. I mean, they got all these titles, and it's like they have so many titles, they don't know what to do with them because there's not enough television, and you can't load up a pay-per-view with just straight title matches. I mean, I guess you could, but that's, I mean, I don't understand what they're doing sometimes. But
I like their problem more than WWE, where you don't have enough titles to have anything going on. Well, one guy's got 2, and then you got this guy. Well, he's not on the pay-per-view this week, or it's like they have problems with that. It's the opposite problem, which I don't like that because you need most of the time, especially with WWE, since they don't know how to tell a regular story, they need a belt involved.
Yeah,
and when they don't have a belt involved, they don't have it. They have trouble. It seems like to me, as in AEW is able to tell some stories where they don't need a belt, and they have a lot of belts. So, I mean,
it's a like you said, it's a good problem to have. But yeah, I don't know who House of Black. I don't know what the next feud is. I will say this though, you don't need to leave them off TV again like you did in the past. House of Black wasn't on TV for the longest time.
Well, part of that there was rumors that Malachi and Buddy were like disgruntled and were going to leave.
Yeah.
And so, and I think it was closed. I think because I think Malachi's contract was actually about to be up, and I think they renewed. But so there was a little limbo there that was part of it. But yes, we need to see them a lot.
I think he had a back injury too, if I'm not mistaken.
But we need to see them every week.
Yes, absolutely. And Buddy Matthews, I mean, it would make sense for Buddy Matthews to go back to WWE. His girlfriend's Rhea Ripley, so. But that would make sense. But I think, they don't need to be off TV again.
So
I'm not.
Rhea Ripley could fit right in with that group.
I mean, and Buddy Matthews could fit right in with Judgment Day.
So yeah, that's interesting that they're both of their kind of groups are that dark, group. Speaking of women,
Perfect.
the next match another great one. And man, the women's storyline, I'm really liking the way this is going, guys. I don't know how much y'all. One of my favorite storylines, the whole outlaws, they're calling them. I thought that was interesting the way they used outlaws, kind of like referring to the outlaws like Kevin Nash and Scott Hall from old WCW days. Jamie Hayter retains, but then Ruby Soho joins the Outlaws. I figured that was going to happen. I had my thoughts. Then she threw her out. They threw her out of the ring. I was like, oh, well, I guess that's not going to happen. And then, yep, and it still did. So, match was great, though. I mean, I really, these all three women, Saraya looked good to me. Of course, she always was good in the ring, but you never know when you've been out of the ring that long. This was probably her biggest match in, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I can't think of how long it's been so long since she's been out. I can't.
She was out of the ring for 5 years before
Yeah.
she came back at the last pay-per-view.
But I mean, this was her biggest match, obviously for the belt here, and I thought it was a great match. It's still weird to me of how we got from Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker, like, railing on the crowd, and all of a sudden they have completely flipped them. AEW does a really good job of like subtle, like complete turns with their face and heel characters. Like it's like all of a sudden in a week or two's time, Baker's gone from being hated by everyone. Now she's the babyface because she's the original. I really like the way they did that. And I wonder if they're going to build something up with a big group on both sides. Now you've got 3 women on the side of the Outlaws. Now you've got Hayter, Baker, and I don't know who's going to join them now, but you got a really good kind of a women versus women match that they could do with this.
I got a couple of options for you. Where's Thunder Rosa? Where's Serena Deeb? I mean, Hikaru Shida, she was a part of this storyline, and then all of a sudden she's out of it.
And she was on the other side.
Right.
She kind of got bumped, and they kept throwing little nuggets where she was, getting perturbed by them, like they were kind of, so now she could flip to the Britt Baker side.
But all of a sudden she goes off television.
Yeah.
So
she's if you're one original, you got Cheetah, Rio, which I don't want to see Rio, but Nyla Rose, and then but someone that would have been cool to see to come out last night when they were attacking would have been Jade, just to get the to get the pop and then just come out and have a little. But they need to get the TBS championship off of her without her losing somehow, because I want to see her make a title run. But
she needs to somehow she exchanges that for a title match.
Yeah.
Because she's that titles is basically non-existent now. I mean, she built it up, but now it's like, okay, Jade's gonna win again. Okay, I mean,
she's not facing any real competition. Like Red Velvet. Red Velvet's not winning the championship. Like, I mean, let's be honest here. So she hadn't. I mean, there's no competition for that, which is why is it? Where's Thunder Rosa? Where's Serena Deeb? Where are all these people?
Well, like is Thunder Rosa? Is she still hurt? Because like she's on the radio every week, but like I think she's still hurt.
Well,
I'm not sure.
There's conflicting reports about that.
Exactly.
So I don't know. But where is Serena Deeb hurt? Because she ain't been on TV for about 4 or 5 months.
That is true. Yeah.
So I was happy with the outcome. I think Jamie Hayter is the right champion. I think she's doing well.
You could take the Outlaws and they could go after Jade 3-on-1, and then one of them takes the title and it takes all 3 of them. So then you kind of keep her strong. And a way to get the title off her, you could do it that way.
Oh, another one I just thought of, because thinking about the TBS championship, here's who I think should take the TBS championship. She was hot before she got hurt. Chris Statlander.
Yeah, I was just saying the alien girl.
Yeah, Chris Statlander. She was on track to beat Jade. I think the original plan, we were talking about original plans. I think that was the original plan, was to have Stat beat Jade for the TBS championship, and then Stat got hurt.
What about Ember Moon? She's got what's her name now?
Oh yeah,
She could be on
Athena.
She could be an
Yeah,
outlaw.
where'd she go? Where
She's
do these
gone.
women go?
I don't know. She could be an outlaw. She could join Team Outlaw because she came from WWE.
But Statlander, if she returned and joined Jamie Hayter, and then that'd be cool. But I don't know when she's set to come back. So
yeah, and with all the talk, I know she's the IWGP champion, Mercedes Moné. She could join the Outlaw group.
She could.
As part of
so
AEW.
they're gonna have like 8 people.
I mean, then you're setting up for a blood and guts match.
Yeah,
with the women.
I love to see those kind of, like, you don't see many women groups anymore, and I think that would be pretty cool to have, because you can run those for 4, 5, 6 months, have people turn and show up, and
and you have so many different matchups you could have. I mean, you could
you're not facing the same people over and over, so you kind of mix it up. Yeah, that's a good point with Mercedes. When I think she's got to land in AEW.
She ain't going back to WWE. I think we can. That's out. I think she will end up in AEW. I just don't know when. But I think this storyline, the only way to really cap it off is with a blood and guts match with the women. The men had one, past 2 years. I think the women in a blood and guts match with this on the line, you get 4-on-4, kind of like a War Games. You get 4-on-4 in the blood and guts. I think that would be a fantastic match. I don't know how AEW would feel about putting Saraya in that physical of a match when she's, returning after 5 years. I don't know about that, but I mean, you could kind of protect her with 8 people in the match. You can kind of protect her where she doesn't have to take these big bumps. Well, but last night she took a bump on the apron that looked gross. So I don't know, but I think that's what they're setting up for. I think they're setting up this whole storyline to blow off at Blood and Guts. That's what I think.
Yeah. A couple of things that were notable. Jamie Hayter is over. Like, she is like, she went from being absolutely hated to just beloved, kind of like I was talking about with Britt Baker. She suplexed both women at once. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And it might be, I mean, Saraya, to me, she had the other matches, but she looked like she was back.
Yeah, she looked really good last night.
The rust or the everything I think has kind of been worked off. I think she's there, and this storyline, I mean, to me, it just reeks of NWO. You're painting people, you're painting L's on people. I know I guess it's for loser. I'm guessing is what L means. I don't know if they've ever really. I've never heard them mention what the L means. You may have missed it on TV. Did I miss that, or they said anything about?
I'm assuming that's what the L is. There, it's almost like D-Generation X, old school D-Generation X.
It's got the lime green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that interests me where they're going to go with that. But I mean, man, they've got some good stories going there that are going to carry over. I'm excited to see where this goes Wednesday night.
I also think because I think there's going to be blood and guts between the women. I think after that, I think Britt turns on Jamie, and we get
that's
a
what I've
Britt
been waiting
Jamie
for.
feud.
But now you can't do it because because they gotta let this simmer some more.
And if they're going to try to keep her face while she's got that show that's going to be all about, I guess she's going to be all in there with Adam Cole.
That's true. That All Access show. Yeah.
So kind of like when they would have the Bellas and stuff, they would keep them faces during when they had the shows on because you want people to watch.
Right.
They want to like, and not that people wouldn't like her, but if you're a face and they're more likely to, hey, I want to see what goes on the show. So, man, speaking of blood and guts, there was a lot of that in this next match.
Dude.
Whew.
Can I just say, before we get into this, and I tweeted this out, I was physically uncomfortable watching this. Like,
was it the fork?
It was the fork, because he literally looked like he was stabbing a body with blood squirting. This is stuff you see out of movies. I was physically sitting there like, dude, this is a little
Yeah,
much.
my daughter was like, "Hey, what's he doing with that?" I'm like,
Your daughter
yeah.
was watching?
Yeah,
Oh.
the kids were watching. My son was watching too. Well, he's like, yeah, Kristen couldn't even. She was in the room and she's like, "What is he doing?" I'm like,
It was graphic. It was
stabbing him.
one of the more graphic matches that I remember seeing.
It seems like that. And no offense to Moxley, but it seems like every match he's in now is a bleeding match.
Well, you knew last night's was going to be, but yeah, the regular pinfall matches will be like that.
I mean, he's
too.
bleeding no matter what kind of match. And I don't know if it's just because he's busting himself up so much now that he just bumps himself and he just starts bleeding. But man,
I liked Renee's reactions on Twitter.
I didn't even see those.
Yeah, she was adding a couple little commentary during the, just kind of like, hey, she was kind of uneasy with it too, you know.
Dude, I mean, it first off, another, again, the word of the night or the phrase of the night, a banger of a match. It was absolutely fantastic, but it was uncomfortably gory and graphic to me. And another issue AEW has is they show blood so much that it's kind of losing its effect now. Like this match specifically was tailor-made for blood. Like, yes, you should absolutely be bleeding like a stuck pig. But like Brandon said, every pinfall match, he busted open. Once you see blood so much, you just get desanitized to it or desensitized. And it's just, I mean, last night is not the best example, but there was like 3 or 4 matches that had blood last night.
Yeah, well, because even like I know it was an Iron Man match for 60 minutes. It's gonna happen, but even the MJF Bryan Danielson match had it, and like you don't really need it with it because that's supposed to be 60 minutes of technical greatness.
Well, FTR came out and Dax Harwood was bleeding.
He busted open. He didn't even do anything.
How?
I never saw it. I was going to say that. I was like, it comes out and doesn't even really do anything, and all of a sudden he's busted open.
I mean,
he cut his head shaving.
It's just AEW, and I like the fact that AEW shows blood because WWE doesn't, and I think there's feuds where it needs to happen, like Edge and Finn Balor. That blow off when it finally happens needs to be bloody. Like that's how that needs to end. So this one right here with a Texas death match, you knew it was going to be graphic, but my gosh, we're talking bricks and chains and chairs and barbed wire.
Curb stomp on the bricks.
Did you hear them do the the Seth Rollins
with Moxley out there? That was,
the crowd was awesome, but the match was the fantastic.
Chain. That was a nasty final spot there.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna kill him.
Yeah,
it was hanging with the chain over the rope like that.
And I thought that Adam Page was about to do a dead eye on those bricks. And I said, man, this is not going to end pretty. He didn't get to, but I mean, and then the one where Hangman was up on top of the turnbuckle and Moxley pushed him off, he nearly missed that table.
Oh, yeah, so he only caught part of it.
Yeah, it was physical. It was graphic. It was everything that a Texas death match should be. And I think the right person won. I'm glad to see Hangman win and get him a dub.
He got him new entrance too.
He did. Now I saw on Twitter, they said Mikey Ruckus, who makes a lot of the entrances for these wrestlers, he said that was a one-off, that it's not going to be his normal theme. But I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of liked it. But I like his regular theme too. So
yeah. I kind of thought it was strange not hearing his regular one, but I was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
The match was fun, though. Like I said, if you were eating dinner while you're watching this match, it was a terrible idea. But it was good, though. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the fork was definitely interesting. There was a power bomb on the chair that was close to being disaster. You know, 2 chairs in the middle, back to back, and if he'd have moved, oh man,
and that's what impresses. And there's a lot of wrestling haters out there, a lot of professional wrestling haters. Oh, it's all fake, blah blah blah. It's not fake, it's scripted. There's a difference. It's just like watching a movie. The stuff they're doing in those movies isn't realistic either. It's scripted. Anyway, that's beside the point. But the technical prowess of these wrestlers to know, hey, I can throw you right here and it'll hurt, but you're not going to die. Or I can put this barbed wire in your face and yeah, it's going to hurt, but you're not going to have any long, like the thin edge that these wrestlers are on with these moves is amazing to me. Like it just blows my mind that there's not more injuries than what we see. It's crazy to me.
So here's, and this is something that point that I noticed. Why would you wrap barbed wire around your own hand?
Every time you wrap it around his leg.
With it, to hit somebody with it for like 2 seconds when it's like now it's like inside your hand now, basically.
We needed more blood on the match, Bret. That's why there wasn't enough blood.
Oh,
one problem I had though is the Texas Death Match and like Hangman was out of the ring and then the refs counting out. Why was there count outs?
I don't think there was a count out. There was a like if you were down for 10 seconds, there was a count.
But like because the Hangman he was standing up, like he had already because it was like at 6 and he was already standing up. He was out of the ring, but Moxley was inside, and he was still counting. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. We can't have a Texas Death Match in a count out.
No, I think it was like a 10 count for being down. So
well, I get that, but he was already at 6. He was already standing up. He just wasn't back in the ring yet.
Were both of them up?
Yeah, Moxley was standing in the ring the whole time.
Well, then maybe he messed up. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and AEW refs do have a tendency to do that, especially like Rick Knox and there's the other one too. That
Aubrey. Is Aubrey?
Well, yeah, but there's the other guy that they tend to mess up a lot. But.
Oh, the one that was in the Iron Man match, Bryce Remsburg.
Yeah, Remsburg. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, we'll talk about this coming up, but in the tag team match, there was also Aubrey made a mistake. How are you going to stop the Acclaim from using a guitar in a no DQ match? Why are you stopping that? There's no disqualification. What are you doing? Anyway, just.
Is that another segue? No.
No, there's nothing. No segue.
I don't know how to segue that one.
Hold on. Give me a second. We can segue into this. Speaking of rivalries, Samoa Joe and Wardlow.
Oh yeah, that was that one.
That rival that's been how long?
I forgot about that match. I thought we were going to the tag team because I forgot about this.
Yeah, this match was put in a horrible position right after the Texas Death Match. This match was not going to get the attention it deserved. I think a lot of people overlooked this match. One, because who really cares about the TNT Championship, to be honest? And second, because it was right after the Texas Death Match. The crowd was just on such a high. It is so hard to follow something like that. I
love both these guys.
I do too, but they got put in a bad spot. Somebody had. I
said at least 5 times last night. Why did WWE mess Samoa Joe up so bad?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I put him as an announcer, but I love both these guys. I don't want to see them against each other no more, but I want to see them both do something with somebody. They're just Samoa Joe's awesome, Wardlow's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Wardlow? Some of the spots that he's able to hit as a big guy.
It's amazing. The stuff he does off the top rope, the jump over the rope, like everything that his athleticism is ridiculous. Like it's almost unmatched. And
I want to see him and Keith Lee one day. One day.
Yes.
Were you all surprised that Samoa Joe got choked out? That's how it was. That kind of cliche that's his move, and he gets choked out.
Well, that's kind of neat that they used his move on him. My problem is, why did you give him the TNT championship when he already had the ROH championship? And then why do we have this match when next week you're facing Powerhouse Hobbs? The winner's facing Powerhouse Hobbs. If that's the case, Wardlow should have lost last night, and Hobbs should take the title from Joe, and then you could have Hobbs and Wardlow go at it. But now you've booked yourself into a corner.
Yeah.
Now you're in a no-win situation.
And they want to put this belt on TV. That's fine, but then why do you put it on the pay-per-view then? Make it a TV title. And they've got enough titles to put on the pay-per-view. Let Joe defend the ROH title against somebody.
Yeah.
I like it didn't last long, but the old Joe's the king of television.
Oh yeah, it lasted for
yeah, but if it would have lasted longer,
he can go be king of the ROH app.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy for Wardlow, but Wardlow kind of got screwed in all this too, because if you remember back last year, he had that feud with MJF, which was a fantastic feud. Then MJF, whatever happened, where he got on a plane, he didn't get on a plane, whatever, all that controversy surrounding MJF, Wardlow's momentum went off a cliff, and he has not been able to regain that momentum since. He's not as hot as he once was. He's not getting the pop that he used to get. He doesn't even have the Goldberg-esque entrance anymore, where people yell out Wardlow. Yeah. He doesn't have that anymore. So,
and he lost his hair.
Now he looks like Frankie Kazarian out there. But now you've booked Wardlow again, where kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're hurting somebody, because this match on Wednesday, if Wardlow wins, great. Now, why did Powerhouse Hobbs win the brass ring then? Or the
it's going to be a DQ.
I have a feeling you're right, which would then set up a triple threat, I think, with Joe, Wardlow, and Hobbs. I don't want to see that either.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of when they show Powerhouse Hobbs up there with the big ring is the Sonic the Hedgehog. Because they look like
those gold rings that the Sonic collects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bling, 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 bling.
It's like they're trying to create their own thing, but it's just weird that it's just this gold ring thing.
Yeah, it looks like a donut, really.
Yeah.
But I this match again, I like Joe, I like Wardlow, I really do, but it was put in a horrible position on the card, and the fact that this TNT Championship has been bouncing around from competitor to competitor. Nobody's had a solid run with it.
I think because I feel like Darby Allin just had it.
Yes, and yes. So that's what I'm
Darby
saying.
Allin.
Where is Darby? That's a great question. Where's Miro?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people. There's so much talent on this roster that's not being used. It's almost criminal. But
hey, where's Jeff Jarrett? Oh wait, no, he's in the next match. I'm just kidding.
We haven't seen Andrade lately either, have we?
No Andrade. No. Yeah, it's a problem. But anyway, the match was what it was. I wasn't very interested in it. This was also around the time where I had to start getting ready for the newscast on Sunday, so I was kind of half paying attention, but it just didn't grip me like all the other matches did. I think of all the matches of the night, in my opinion, this was my least favorite match. And that's not to say it was a bad match. It was just
probably
my least
that
favorite.
One or the first one with Jericho and Ricky Starks, just because of who it was. I mean, I think it was a good feud. Hopefully it's over. But this one, I think it was just in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I think you're right on. I think that's really what hurt it.
Anybody following that Texas Death Match, though, would have been, I mean, other than maybe MJF Danielson, any other match would have fell flat, I think, after that.
I think the crowd might have died if you put those two back to back.
Yeah. The Chase Center would have been a crime.
It'd have been deflated. Yeah.
So this next match, y'all got to catch me up on this, because when did the Guns win the tag titles, and how did that happen?
Like 2 weeks ago, right? Or
I missed that because I came out, I saw this match. I'm like, did they steal the titles?
Nope.
Why are the Guns the AEW Tag Team Champions?
And now they're doing something. Well, we'll get to this.
Like of all the tag teams they have, all the great tag teams. It's not like we're in WWE where there's not that many great tag teams.
All the tag teams that aren't being used too.
Yeah. The Guns.
And I was excited to see FTR back, but do I want to see them against the Guns?
No. I will say this though. The Guns are growing on me a little bit. I think they're very good in the ring. I think they play their role very well.
I love them with the Acclaimed. I just, Yeah,
they're growing on me a little bit. I will admit that. Now, Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, or Triple J, get them out of here. Get them out.
Jay Lethal.
I love Jay Lethal. I can't stand Jeff Jarrett.
But where do you stand on Sanjay Dutt?
Oh my gosh. And Satnam Singh. All of them. The whole group could just go, give me Jay Lethal as a single competitor and I'll be happy.
They're going to ROH maybe.
Probably.
Well, they are ROH.
Yeah, Jay Lethal's ROH. They'll go on ROH. I think and then
You know who I really liked in this match?
Danhausen.
Danhausen.
That's the most we've seen him do in AEW.
Did he look like a Orange Cassidy twin with face paint, or was it just me?
Kinda. Yeah.
I mean, like and he was like using his moves and stuff.
That was the most action he's had in AEW.
He is hilarious. With the two of them together, you got him with his face paint and his cursing, the other wrestlers, and just his animations, and you got Orange Cassidy, like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, the two of them, I think, would be a cool team. Like, as far as to go on a little bit of a run, and you know, he uses his powers, and he makes somebody trip or they fall. Just something stupid, so stupid it'd be hilarious.
So I totally missed though. How did they get in the match? I missed that part.
So Wednesday night there was a fatal 4-way or whatever, and the winner won, and the best friends were supposed to be in it. Trip Beretta and then we're supposed to be in it, but they got attacked by, I forget who they got attacked by on Rampage, and they couldn't compete.
They were not cleared to wrestle.
Yeah, so Orange Cassidy and Danhausen teamed up, and then they won it. The Battle Royal. It wasn't a fatal 4-way. It was a casino Battle Royale, and that's how they got in it. I love Orange Cassidy. Orange, he's from wherever, weighing whatever. I just love it.
That's why I think those two together are just like, they're a funny duo, and they're not just comedic. They actually can go in the ring.
Well, that's a lot of people have the wrong misconception on Orange Cassidy. Yes, his gimmick is, I don't care, whatever. I don't care about anything. But he can go in the ring. He is good. He is dang good in the ring. So, Danhausen, I think this was the best I've seen Danhausen look in the ring. He hadn't been in there much, but he looked decent. He looked decent. I didn't really care for this match on paper, simply because I think it would have been better with the Guns and the Acclaimed one-on-one. I don't think it needed Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. I don't think we needed that.
Did they do that to protect the Acclaimed?
I think so. I think the Acclaim wasn't taking the pin. But I would have preferred to see just a one-on-one tag team match. But I mean, it was an entertaining match. It was entertaining. But Max Caster, his rap beforehand, I was disappointed. He was offbeat a little bit. He didn't have the punchlines that he normally has. I'm disappointed in Max Caster's freestyle.
Listen.
Yo.
Hey, here, I'm reading something here, and see if y'all notice this. Someone said, why did Austin and Colton each have half of Shawn Michaels' entrance outfit?
Look, that's the first thing I thought about. I can't remember which one it was when they were showing him on screen. Whoever was on the left, maybe it was Austin, I think. But he had that little mesh shirt, and it looked like, I was like, man, it looks like HBK. Like that's a Shawn Michaels lookalike.
Oh,
man. This match was, I guess it needed to be on the pay-per-view, but I could have done without this. I think the match itself could have been done on a Dynamite and been completely okay. The best part of it was FTR coming out at the end. I'm so glad FTR is back. There's been a lot of talk about them. Are they going to WWE? Are they done with AEW? It's good to see them back. And I'm not thrilled to see an FTR and Ass Boys feud, but I think, FTR may win those titles back.
Do you think that Billy ever goes back with his sons and helps them keep the titles longer? Or do you think I like what he's doing with the Acclaim, but do you ever think he goes, because at some point, this matchup, FTR, the Guns, total mismatch, right? On paper.
You would think, on paper, but the Guns will do something nefarious where they keep the titles, I'm sure.
So we don't think that Billy comes back with them and helps them keep the titles and ends up turning.
Not now. I don't think it happens now. I think eventually he does end with his sons, but I don't think it happens now. I think what they got going with the Acclaimed is too hot right now for it to take him away.
Yeah.
But it would get a ton of heat on the Guns if he turned on them. So I don't know. But I mean,
he turns on them, and then it sets up an Acclaim Guns match where the Acclaim ends up taking the titles back.
Do you put the Acclaimed in? Because a tag team title match is coming with FTR and the Guns. Do you put the Acclaimed in that as a triple threat? Because what do you do with the Acclaimed if you don't do that?
I thought that you shot it down early. You didn't want to see Billy in the ring, but I thought he might go after the could have been a trios.
I think FTR will be in a trios. I think CM Punk's coming back, and I think he'll join FTR. Maybe I don't know when, but I have
good
a feeling.
friends, so that could be.
I have a feeling that CM Punk okay. I just thought this out in my head. FTR will lose to the Guns in a tag title match. The Guns will do something shady to win it. I don't know what. They'll cheat somehow and win. And then CM Punk comes back, joins FTR, and FTR and CM Punk go after the tag titles, probably against the Elite, because I think the Elite will win them back. And then
I want to see Kenny go back to singles.
Would they? Man, would that be some storylines? True life storyline.
It'd be incredible, but
that one.
That's what you call a shoot becoming a work, because that is a real life feud that happened that now they're going to make it to a storyline, because they would make a buttload of money off that feud.
So you think that could be something that happens in the normal Chicago show in the fall?
Isn't that where All Out is?
Yep.
There you go. There's your main event for All Out. Trios Championship, Elite versus FTR and CM Punk.
Yeah, but I still want to see Kenny. I still want to see Kenny do his own thing.
Yeah. Well, then maybe House of Black versus CM Punk and FTR.
Don.
No, but I love the idea.
Don Callis will have him doing something here soon.
Yeah.
He's still hanging around.
I think the Bucks need to go into the tag division and revamp that tag division, and then maybe FTR just takes the titles and we get Bucks and FTR again. I'm okay. Take my money.
And then Punk comes back, and then we just get Punk and Omega.
Punk and Omega.
Either way, I think Punk's coming back. I think they're going to turn this whole Punk situation into a money-making event, and he's coming back.
Everybody wins. Everyone makes money. Yeah. Everyone wins.
Yep.
If it was a female feud, I'd say, but you know how the guys' feuds are. That happens, and
once you fight, you become friends again.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so we can either let this get in the way and make it, or we can turn this into something. Yeah. Sell some pay-per-views.
Yeah, a lot of money. Yeah.
Make some money. Yeah. Hey, let's do that. How about that?
All Out in Chicago, CM Punk will be in the main event. Mark my word. We will come back in the All Out wrap-up show, and we'll be saying, Kyle, you were right. You called this 6-7 months ago.
I hope you are right. I'd love to see that.
I usually am, Bret. The
first match of that night will be MJF against Jungle Boy.
Okay, I'm gonna start calling you Corey.
I do have a ton of theories about wrestling too, so
hey, you can start your own theory. The KO theories, you should start your own.
Look, I got plenty of them.
Make you a t-shirt.
Make me a t-shirt. Yeah, I got plenty of theories. Okay. One of the theories is I'm better than you, and you know it.
That's a good segue into the next match. As man, oh man, what a match! How many people thought? I know we probably all thought MJF was going to win, but man, there's a couple times I thought Danielson's going to win this match. They did such a good job of selling that. I mean, it was incredible.
The MJF has it all. MJF has the look. He has the charisma. He has the mic skills. He's got the only thing people were questioning about MJF. I don't know why I want to keep saying MJF, Maxwell. The only thing they were not sure about was his in-ring work. Could he go 60 minutes with one of the best wrestlers in the world? And he did. He did that. There is nothing more for MJF to prove to anybody. He is, I'm not going to go out there and say the best wrestler. He is one of the best wrestlers that's ever done this. He's fantastic. He threw water on an innocent little kid.
I was going to say, what I was going to bring up. I don't think that was. I think that was just off the top of his head. He did that.
That was definitely not planned. After the After the show, they brought that kid backstage and let him meet his favorite wrestlers. There's a picture of him with Powerhouse Hobbs. So AEW took care of him. But yeah, that was definitely not planned. MJF is a jerk, and I love it.
Oh,
he's so good.
He's definitely the best heel in wrestling.
Oh, dude, so good. But yeah, I'm with you, Brett. I did think a couple of times that Danielson may pull this off, but in the back of my mind, I was like, MJF is not losing. Like, I don't know how he's going to do it. He is not losing. But I did enjoy the fact that they kept it just these two people in the ring. There wasn't outside interference. It was one-on-one, mano-a-mano. They even had a great spot early in the match where they just kept kind of reversing each other's moves, just in showing the technical wrestling that MJF is capable of. Bryce Remsburg earned his paycheck with all those. His hands probably worn out. Get that man some ice. He was all over the place when they kept rolling around and he kept trying to count it. He was this. I haven't seen many Iron Man matches. I must admit, I haven't seen many of them, but this had to be, from everybody I've heard talk about it and from what I've seen, one of the top Iron Man matches of all time. This was fantastic. It was everything you wanted.
Something I liked was when MGF took the DQ and then pinned him twice in a row. I thought that was smart. Like,
it's chess, not checkers.
Yeah, so he basically took a 1L and got 2 W's out of that. I thought that, I don't know if I've ever seen that done in an Iron Man match before. I thought that was creative.
There's a lot of creativity in this match between the two. And I think the toughest thing to do in a match like this is, it's going 60 minutes, is to keep that crowd into it, to keep the crowd engaged. And MJF,
and then I thought they were going to end up with a draw. I was like, no, what are we doing? I was like,
Tony Schiavone saved the day.
I was like, no, this is not going to end in a draw. All that.
Yeah, no, that's
But I like that. After the fact, I liked that they did that. Like that, because I'm sure I wasn't the only person that was upset and ticked off. And then, oh wait, they're gonna have a sudden death. Oh, that makes sense, obviously.
Yeah, I wouldn't care to see an Iron Man match probably the rest of the year, because there's only certain instances where this is warranted. But this was one of them.
Yeah, like this is the first one I've seen, and it's the first one we've had in AEW, right?
I thought that Brian, they were talking about it during the match that Brian had been in an Iron Man match.
Yeah, with
who was he in there? Wasn't it? It was Hangman.
Hangman.
It was Hangman.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kenny or Hangman. Yeah,
He went 60 minutes. He may have went with both of them, but I know he went 60 minutes with Hangman. That did end.
Kenny was just like Kenny was a TV time draw.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I know he did have an Iron Man match with Hangman though.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't need to see many of these because that's tough.
It's tough to live up to that. You set a bar like this, and you have the next one like, oh, that's not even close to this other one.
I don't. I know MJF did it as safely as he could, but with all the neck injuries that Bryan Danielson has had, I'm not a huge fan of him getting pile drive through a table. That's to me, and I understand the match, I get it, but to me, that's an unnecessary risk that you're putting Danielson at. That spot, as cool as it looked, was not necessary for the match. When anything goes wrong, he breaks his neck. One, he could die or not wrestle ever again. And
tombstone MJF from the turnbuckle.
Yeah, that stuff like that, like with Danielson, that's just I cringe. Even the one where Taz was like, "That's how I broke my neck." But you could see MJF had the back of Danielson's head and shoved it down to make sure it wasn't. I know he was being safe, and I know they're professionals, but it makes me uneasy knowing the history of Danielson's neck that he's doing these high risk maneuvers when it's not really necessary.
Yeah, I think it only works when it's someone like MJF doing it, though.
Yes, yeah.
He's got that where he doesn't care. He's going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah, but he's, as much as he doesn't care, he is very safe with what he's doing.
He's professional.
Yeah, which that's what they say about Sami Zayn. Like Sami Zayn, from the stuff I've read, Sami Zayn is one of the safest workers in WWE. Now, he does a lot of crazy things, but he's safe with it. And again, that brings me back to my point where it's amazing how these athletes are able to go out here, hit these moves, and not break something. Us three could go out there, have a triple threat, and we ain't getting up tomorrow. Yeah.
Well,
it wouldn't take much to nail to not get up tomorrow, honestly.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Friday night when I got home from Prosper, I woke up the next morning, Saturday morning, and my left hamstring was sore because I had to walk up some steps.
You didn't have to carry like the camera equipment this time either. You were just carrying your laptops.
I just carried my body weight, and apparently that was too much for my left hamstring.
You sure you weren't trying to shoot the ball for Mineola or something?
No, they could have used it on Saturday. Though. They could have used me. I know it's not a basketball podcast, but
yeah,
quick off detour.
That's okay. It happens. I mean, I want a pretty good ball myself, so it's hard not to talk about that when you.
It is
all you've done for the last 2 or 3 months.
But this match though was fantastic. Had the right outcome. I don't know who's immediately next for MJF.
You take a break where I'm not gonna come to work for a while again.
Well, I think Moxley, Hangman, Christian, Jungle Boy, MJF, and Danielson should all have Wednesday off. They do not need to show up they do not need to be on the show.
We named some people that needs we need to see them. I mean, we have
exactly
a whole show we could do without any of those guys.
I honestly don't think MJF has another match till the next pay-per-view. Now he might.
Well, I mean, this was his first one since December. He only had 9 all the year before, so
that's part of his deal. He's got that Roman Reigns deal.
Yeah.
But you appreciate it
more of a Brock Lesnar deal.
Yeah, I was about to say you appreciate it more when you see him in the ring. And he's not like Brock Lesnar because MJF can actually wrestle. Yeah. Not just, do an F5 and a spear and an F5 and a suplex. Like he can actually physically wrestle.
I think it's Lesnar Lashley again tonight on Raw. Is that
If that's the case, I'm skipping it. I'm fast forward quick as it only has to fast forward about 2 minutes, but I'll fast forward through it. But I don't think, honestly, I don't know who's next. I think it's
Goldberg.
That's you set that up.
Set up on a tee for me. He even got off.
He left.
I think it's too soon. I think eventually at some point Jungle Boy will face MJF. I think it's too soon for that. We just had Ricky Starks face him.
Darby Allin?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that at the next pay-per-view.
Do you think it's one of those 3 that beats him eventually? Or you think it's somebody else? Like, because you talk about the 4 pillars. You got Starks, or you got Guevara. Of course, he's a heel now too. Those original, young talents that AEW's kind of cultivated. Or do you have someone else?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know who I have beating MJF because like I said, I don't think he's losing the rest of the year.
He's going to take the title with him to WWE.
He might. No, I don't know. I just don't know.
I could see him doing something like that though, or trying to take the title with because he's always talk about 2024. He's going to be a free agent.
He has a lot of comparisons to CM Punk with his pipe bomb promo. The same thing CM Punk did, winning the title and leaving the building. I mean, I could see MJF coming out on Dynamite saying, my contract's up. I'm taking it to WWE. Hello, Trips and jolly old Saint Nick. Like I can, how MJF is. But right now, I don't know in the immediate future. You could put Hangman up against him at the next pay-per-view with the way Hangman just performed against Moxley. He's got Mox behind him now. You can do a Hangman MJF.
Need a little bit of break though.
Yes, 100%. Well, the next pay-per-view is not till May?
Is it May? Is that All or Nothing?
Yeah, Double or Nothing. Yeah. Yeah, in Vegas. I think that's Memorial Day weekend, I think.
That's a quick turnaround for them. They normally take like 5 months before.
Right. So I think give Hangman a couple weeks off. to get those fork stabbings out of his head. And then I think that's the next one. I think Hangman MJF at Double or Nothing, because I just don't know who else you would. I don't know who else.
If they sign somebody else or somebody.
They don't need to sign anybody else. They can't get the people they got on right now.
I didn't say they needed.
Just not yet.
I didn't say they needed to. I'm just saying, that's usually how it works.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that you didn't see. I mean, I guess you had FTR returning. AEW has been real big about somebody's going to show up that you weren't expecting, whether it's a new signing or somebody returning or on their pay-per-views. It seems
where's
like
Swerve?
he's hunting for Keith Lee, I guess.
That's another one. That's another one. AEW has so many people that they can't put on TV that are great quality wrestlers. Very disappointing.
So overall, an A. Anybody disagree that was an A show?
No,
Man.
I think A is a good rating for that.
So
it didn't have Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar on it, so A plus for me.
No Goldberg, no.
One match I promise you I will not watch at Mania is Brock Lesnar and Omos.
What about Bobby and Bray? Just to see what Bray does.
Depends on the story. Depends on what they do in these next 4 or 5 weeks. But
they haven't done much yet.
No, and I can promise you I'm not watching Brock and Omos.
We still want to do a pre-Mania show.
Yeah. We should make our predictions before the show.
Do some predictions.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure out how we want to do the Mania one after that. There's 2 nights.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out at some point. But yeah, I guess that'll be the next pay-per-view. I don't think, of course, we just talked about the AEW. Next one's not until May, so
they're not gonna throw a fast lane at us this year.
Well, they kind of left it open here. The WWE's got plenty of time to kind of get some storylines rolling here. Whether they do it or not, that'll be to be determined. But we know we have some interesting stuff with the Bloodline and Sami Zayn and that whole thing. That'll be interesting. But yeah. All right. Well, that's all I've got. Anybody final thoughts?
Great show. Very entertaining.
Very enjoyable. All right. Well, I guess the Revolution was televised. So that's going to be all for tonight's show. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching the Off the Ropes Episode 3 AEW Revolution. We'll be back before Mania to make some predictions and a little pre-show. For Bret and Kyle and Brandon, we'll catch you next time right here on Off the Ropes.